Good morning, everyone. Welcome to your I Learn English Literature live class. Today we are going to start a new chapter, that is chapter number 11 in your literature books, The Boy in the Striped Pajamas. Fine. So this chapter basically is an extract from the novel of the same name. Right? The novel also has this name only, The Boy in the Striped Pajamas, and it has been written by John Boyne, who is an Irish writer. So this novel is based on the Holocaust, which happened during the World War II. Fine, and although this book has been published in 2006, but its setting is in the goes back to the 1940s. Okay, when during the period of World War II. If you people know about World War II, so it took place between 1939 and 1945. Right. So this one such event happened during the Second World War, which is known as the Holocaust. Holocaust is nothing but the mass killing. Right. It is a huge destruction. It is an event which involves huge destruction, involving loss of life on a large scale. So this happened during the Second World War, when a lot of Jews were killed by Hitler. Around 6 million Jews were killed. So mass killing of Jews happened during the Second World War. Right. So this story basically is about two boys, 9-year-old boys. Okay, Bruno and Shmuel. So it is about the Holocaust only, but revolving around the stories of these two boys. Okay, so this is what we are going to study today. Let us start reading. You may raise your hand and start reading. Yes, Divyanshi.
The Boy in the Striped Pajamas is a 2006 Holocaust novel by John Boyne, set in the 1940s during World War II, when Adolf Hitler was a German Führer and his forces had invaded and captured most of Europe. Hitler hated the Jews and had ordered their complete annihilation. Therefore, Jews were rounded up from all German-occupied countries in Europe and sent to concentration camps set up with poison gas chambers to be killed.
Yes.
Stories about Bruno.
No, you can stop over here. So, as you can see, in the first paragraph, it has been given the introduction about the book, about the chapter, The Boy in the Striped Pajama. It was written in 2006, and it is a novel which is based on Holocaust. All right, and it has been written by John Boyne. So the setting of this story is in 1940s. Fine, during the Second World War. So Adolf Hitler was the German Führer. Führer is the German word for leader. So you can underline Führer and write down leader. So he was the leader at that time of Germany. He was a dictator, fine, and his forces, that means his army, had invaded and captured most of Europe. So most of the countries of Europe were captured and invaded by the German army under the dictatorship of Hitler, Adolf Hitler, fine, and so Hitler, he hated Jews, okay, and he had ordered complete annihilation, that means complete extermination, complete destruction of Jews. So he hated Jews to such an extent that he did not want any of the Jews to be alive. So he had ordered their complete annihilation. Annihilation means destruction or extermination. So he wanted to kill all the Jews who were there in Europe. So Jews were all rounded up. That means they were collected from various parts of Europe, which were occupied by Germany. Okay, and they were sent to concentration camp. Now, what is a concentration camp? So it was a kind of place, okay, in which large number of people, they were gathered and they were made to live under harsh conditions. Okay, and those harsh conditions would include small spaces, living in small spaces, and then inadequate facilities. But they were also subjected to mass killing. So they were kept there, and they used to await the mass execution, their mass execution. So that was a concentration camp, and those concentration camp had poison gas chambers also. So a batch of people, they were taken. Okay, they used to do what? They used to collect all the Jews in the concentration camp, and batch wise, okay, they used to take some of the Jews to the gas chamber, and those the all the Jews of that batch used to be killed. Okay, gas chamber was again a small place, a sealed place where there was just one opening at the top, and the soldier would pour in the gas, poisonous gas, into that chamber, and there was no escape from that chamber. And all the Jews who were there in the gas chamber used to get killed because of that poisonous gas. So this was the process of Holocaust. Okay, Hitler devised many methods to kill the Jews, but this Holocaust is one such method. Killing using the poisonous gas is one such method which has been talked about over here. He also used to shoot people. Okay, that was also one way of killing the Jews. Fine. I hope you people have noted down the things which I have noted. Okay, moving on to the next paragraph. Anushka, you can read.
This story is about Bruno, a 9-year-old son of the World War II German commandant in charge of the Auschwitz concentration camp in Germany, and Shmuel, a Jewish captive whose family had been sent from Poland to the camp to be killed. Bruno and his family had recently moved from Berlin to Auschwitz. Bruno decides to explore the area around his house and finds a boy around his age who is wearing striped pajamas. The two boys end up becoming friends.
Okay. So the first paragraph tells us about the background of the story, about the original event, actual event. Okay, and the second paragraph tells us about the fiction which the writer has used in his story. So the story of Bruno and Schmel is a fiction. Okay, these two boys were not there in reality, but the event of Holocaust is real. Okay, it did happen. It did take place. So this story is about Bruno, who is a 9-year-old son, okay, of a World War II German commandant. So there was a German commandant. His name was Ralph. So Bruno is the son of this commandant, and he was given the charge of Auschwitz concentration camp in Germany. So these concentration camps were spread throughout Germany, okay, in all the places which were occupied by German army. So there were different places where concentration camps were set up. So Bruno's father was made the commandant in charge of Auschwitz. There's a place in Germany named as Auschwitz. So he was in charge of the concentration camp of Auschwitz. Okay, commandant means the office in charge of a particular military group. So commandant, you can underline and write down office in charge of a particular military group. Okay, and then since you can see over here that Bruno was the son of a German commandant, so that means he was on the side of Germany. And then there was another boy named as Shmuel, who was a Jew. Okay, and he had been taken captive. He had been imprisoned. Okay, along with his family, and they originally belonged to Poland. Fine. So basically, I'll tell you that the immediate cause why World War II broke out. It is basically because of the invasion of Poland only. When Germany invaded Poland, so the World War II broke out. Fine. So this boy Shmuel, he belonged to Poland, and then he was since he was a Jew, so he was also taken from Poland to Auschwitz along with his family to be kept in the concentration camp. All right. So like many others were rounded up or collected from various places, same was done to Shmuel also and his family. Fine. So you can just note it down that Shmuel originally belonged to Poland, and Bruno he originally belonged to Berlin. Okay, so he had also moved to Auschwitz, and he used to live in Berlin. Berlin is the capital of Germany. So Bruno, since he is at a new place, okay, in a new place, so he decides to explore, to look around, okay, and to travel and learn about the area, to find out what is there in the surrounding. So he decides to go and explore around his house, and then what happens that he finds a boy who is around his age only, and the boy was wearing striped pajamas. Okay, and then the two boys, they get into conversation and they end up becoming friends. Finally, so they become friends. Okay, and then let's see how it starts. So this is the background. This is the gist of the story which we are going to read. All right. Yes, Umeed, you can read.
Yes, ma'am.
Yes, please read the first paragraph.
When Bruno first arrived at his new house, he was greatly disappointed. There was nowhere to play. The house was small, and there were no other children for him to play with. Out his window, however, he saw hundreds of people enclosed in a fence. But there was something strange about the fence. All the people across the fence were the same clothes, stripped pajamas, and stripped cloth caps. And all the people who wandered there, his houses, with the exception of his mother, sister Gretel, and him, were wore similar army uniforms with caps or helmets and wore armbands imprinted with a red and black swastika symbol.
Yes. So now you can mute yourself. Okay. So the story starts, all right, and Bruno, he has arrived at his new house. And on his arrival, he is greatly disappointed because he did not want to leave his house in Berlin. And then he was also very upset at the thought of leaving his best friends. Okay, he had friends back in Berlin. He had a house in Berlin, which was a bigger house as compared to where he is living in Auschwitz. So all these things he disappointed Bruno, because as it is, he did not want to come to Auschwitz because he had to leave his friends, his three best friends. He had to leave. Okay, he had to leave them, and then he had to travel all the way to Auschwitz. So when he arrived at his house, he was greatly disappointed. Why was he disappointed? Disappointed because when he looked at the house was small. Okay, it was small in comparison to his house, which was there in Berlin. And then he had no place to play over there. All right, and there were no children also for him to play with. So there was just one particular house. Okay, no neighborhood, nothing, and so he had nobody. He was a small child. Okay, he had his mother, and then his sister Gretel was there, and his father used to be busy with the stuffs of the Second World War. So basically, nobody was there of his age with whom he could play and he could be friends. Fine. So this was the this all these things brought disappointment to Bruno when he reached his new house in Auschwitz. And then he looked out of his window and he saw hundreds of people were there who were enclosed in a fence. Okay, a fence was there, a very tall fence of barbed wires was there. When he looked out of the window, he saw that, and he saw that on the other side of that fence, there were hundreds of people. They were enclosed over there. But then when he observed further, he found that there was something strange about the fence. Okay, something peculiar about the fence. So what was the strange? What was the strange thing about the fence? That all the people across the fence, that means on the other side of the fence, they were wearing the same type of clothes. Okay, the same clothes. And what kind of clothes were they wearing? Striped pajamas. Okay, and striped cloth caps. So striped shirt, striped pajamas, and striped cloth caps. So this was the dress of the people who were there, who you could see on the other side of the fence, right? And then all the people who wandered through his house, they wore similar army uniform. So there were people on his side as well, but those were only the soldiers, okay, the army people, and they were wearing the same army uniform except of his brother, his mother's, and Gretel, and he himself. So all these three, they were wearing civilian clothes, okay, while the other people who were there, who we could see on his side of the fence, they were wearing army uniform. Okay, so you can just figure out from this thing that there was a fence. It was a kind of you know, a barrier, so that the people which who were there, who were wearing striped pajamas, they could not come to this side. So that was the concentration camp where Bruno was living. Okay, so Bruno's house lie very close to the concentration camp, where the Jews were brought up, collected, and they were put into the poisonous gas chambers. So there was nobody but the soldiers who were just guarding the fence. Okay, so he could see these many people. Fine. So again, I would say that I would make you recall that there was a fence, and then on the opposite side of the fence, there were people, okay, basically Jews, who were wearing the striped pajamas and striped cloth cap, and on his side of the fence, he could see the army, the soldiers who were wearing the same army uniform. Okay, and along with the uniform, they wore caps or helmets, and also they wore armbands imprinted with a red and black swastika symbol. So this was the symbol of Hitler's party, Nazis. Okay, so there was a swastika symbol. You people must be knowing about it. So, and that was of red and black color. Fine. So please keep in mind the kind of clothes which the people on both the side of the fences were wearing, and who all were wearing different clothes. His mother, Sister Gretel, and he himself. Okay. Yes. So we'll move on to the next paragraph. Yes, Asid, you want to read?
Yes, ma'am. What exactly was the difference? He wondered to himself. And who decided which people wore the striped pajamas and which people wore the army uniforms? One day, Bruno decided to explore the surroundings. Leaving the house, he looked as far as to his right as he could see. The tall fence seemed to carry on in the sunlight, and he was glad that it did because it meant that he didn't know what was up ahead, and he could walk and find out as what was the exploration was all about. The one thing Bruno tried not to think about was that he had been told on countless occasions by both mother and father that he was not allowed anywhere near the fence or the camp, and and most particularly that exploration was banned with no exceptions. The
Yes. So you can stop over here. Okay. Now you see that Bruno was a 9-year-old boy, and the children, they are full of curiosity. So same was with Bruno. Then when he observed two kinds of clothes on the two sides of the fence, so it brought curiosity. He wanted to know. He was eager to know that what exactly was the difference. Why was he seeing all these things? Because back in Berlin, he did not observe all these things. Okay, so it's only when he reached Auschwitz he could see the concentration camp, but he doesn't know that it was actually a concentration camp. He did not know about it. So he was clueless. He did not know what was happening and what was the difference between the people of his side and the people of the other side of the fence. So he wondered to himself, he thought to himself, okay, he speculated And again he thought that who are the people who decide which people would be wearing the striped pajamas and which people would be wearing the uniforms. So all such questions were coming up to his mind. Okay, this shows the curiosity of a child. So he wants to know, he's eager to know. All right. And then one day, what happens that out of his curiosity, he decided to explore the surroundings because he used to ask about these things from his father, but his father did not respond. Okay, his father never told him about the concentration camp and about the difference between them and the people who were living on the other side of the fence. So he did not get any answer to his questions. Okay, so his curiosity, it was kept alive. All right, so it went on. So out of his curiosity, Bruno decided to explore the surroundings. So what happens that he leaves the house. Fine. To explore the surrounding, he had to leave the house and he looked as far to his right as he could. So he looked towards his right and he looked as far as he could. Fine. And there were tall fences of barbed wires, and they seemed to carry on in the sunlight. Carry on means to go on and on, to continue in the sunlight. So there was no end. All right, the fence was it was a never ending fence. It was an endless fence, right? Because he could not see that where this fence was coming to an end. He could just see that the fence is going on and on in the sunlight to his right. And then he was glad at this fact that he could not see what is at the end of the fence, because that it kept his curiosity alive. Okay, so when he could not see what is there at the end of the fence, so it gave him an idea, it gave him a purpose to continue his exploration, to continue walking and find out what is not over there. Okay, so that was what exploration was all about, right? To unravel the things which are not known. So that is what is the meaning of exploration. So Bruno also was glad that he could not see beyond the fence, and because of that, he would be walking and finding out the things which were not known to him, which were unknown to him. Okay. Then the only thing which Bruno tried not to think was that he had been told by his parents. Many times he had been told by his parents that he was not allowed to go anywhere near the fence or the camp. And then most particularly that exploration was banned with no exception. So under no circumstances were the children allowed to go near the camp or near the fence and to explore anything. So they were basically instructed to stay inside the house, within the house, in front of their mother's eyes. So it was told, okay, the instructions were given, but why were they banned? Why the other side of the people were wearing striped pajamas and everything? All these information were not given, were not provided to Bruno. He was just given a general instruction that you are not supposed to go near the fence or the camp, and you're not supposed to explore the surrounding. Okay, so that was a very you can say it was a very dangerous area where Bruno was living. So his father had strictly instructed, actually both his father and mother, because here it has been used father and mother. So his parents, they had instructed him that you should stay near the house, within the house, and you should not go around the house and explore. Okay, with no exception means under no circumstances was he allowed to move out and explore the surroundings. Right? So during his exploration, he wanted to continue his exploration, and this is the only thought which he did not want to come to his brain. All right, so to come to his mind. So he did not want this to think over this instruction which had been given to him by his parents. Okay, let's read ahead. Yes, Anvi.
The walk along the fence took Bruno a lot longer than he expected. accepted, it seemed to stretch on and on for several miles. He walked, and when he looked back, the house that he was living in became smaller and smaller until it vanished from sight altogether.
Okay, you can mute this. So now you see he started walking. He set on his exploration. Okay, and he starts to walk. So he walks. He had walked a long distance, longer than he expected. So he assumed and he estimated that he'd be walking this much. But then when he started walking, he just went on and he walked longer than what he had expected. And it seemed to stretch the fence. He was walking along the fence because he wanted to know what was there at the end of the fence. So the as he started walking, he went on, and it seemed to him that the fence was stretched for several miles. Okay, and he walked, and when he looked back, by walking a certain distance, when he looked back, he looked at his house, and that house became smaller and smaller until it vanished from his sight. So he had gone too far. While he was walking, he kept looking back at his house, and his house growing smaller and smaller as he was walking forward, as he was walking ahead. And then at a point, he reached at a point where he could not see his house anymore. Okay, so vanished means his house disappeared. Underline and write down disappeared from his sight. Okay, from his vision, he could not see his house. Altogether means completely. Underline altogether and write down completely. So the house disappeared completely from his sight. He could not see. So he had walked such a great distance. So from this paragraph, we come to know the extent of his walk. All right, that means he covered a long distance while walking along the fence. So if a question is asked, how do we know that Bruno walked a long distance? So you will have to mention these points. Okay, that his house became smaller and his house became out of his sight. Okay, while he kept on walking. All right, so Hiral, you may read the next paragraph.
After walking for the best part of an hour, he started to feel a little hungry. He thought that maybe that was enough exploration for one day, and it would be a good idea to turn back. However, just at that moment, he saw a boy not very far from him, so he continued to walk, and before long they were facing each other. Hello,
You can
said
mute.
Bruno.
No, you can mute yourself. First, let us understand this much. So now, Bruno was walking, and after walking for the best part of an hour means for almost an hour. Best part of an hour means almost an hour. He started to feel a little hungry. So then he thought that maybe it was due to his exploration. Maybe he has walked a long distance. So he thought that whatever he has traveled, that he should call an end to his exploration for that day, and he should return. That would be a better idea because he started feeling tired and feeling hungry. Okay, so because he had already walked longer distance than what he had expected, so he thought that it would be a good idea if he turned back and went to his house. So just at that moment when he was thinking about returning back to his home, he saw a boy. Okay, not very far from him means quite near him, quite close to him. So if you remember that this boy Bruno, he was disappointed when he reached his house in Auschwitz. One of the reasons was that he could not find anybody of his age with whom he could play. So when he saw a boy who was almost his age, and he was sitting, and he could see somebody sitting, a boy sitting close to him, so he thought that he should continue to walk, and then he should talk to that boy, because he also wanted to, there were many reasons. He also wanted to know the reason behind the kind of clothing, their kind of clothing. Okay, striped pajamas and striped shirts. So he wanted to know that also. So there are two reasons which made him, or which pushed him to walk ahead and reach that boy. Okay, so why did he go? Why did he continue? Even after thinking that he should go back, it would be a good idea to return back to his house. He still continued to walk. Why? Because he saw that small boy. who was quite close to him, and he wanted basically two things. Okay, he wanted a friend, and he wanted to know what was why they were dressed like that. So these two things made him continue his exploration, and he went on. And before long means very soon. Underline before long and write down very soon. They were facing each other. So he reached the boy, and he was standing in front of him. Yes, Sanskar, you want to read? Start. Unmute yourself.
I'm from the boy.
No, hello.
Hello, said the cat.
Hello, said Bruno.
Hello, said Bruno. Hello, said the boy. The boy was smaller, the Bruno, and was sitting on the ground with a golden expression. He wore the same striped pajamas that all the other people on that side of the fence wore, and a stripped cloth cap on his head. He wasn't wearing any shoes or socks, and his feet were rather dirty. On his arm he wore an umbrella with a star on it. When the boy looked at him, all Bruno could see was an enormous pair of sad eyes staring back.
Yes, mute yourself. So now, when he reached close to the boy, he was standing in front of the boy. Okay. So they greeted each other. Bruno said hello to him. The boy also replied back. And the boy, here you can see look at the description and underline the description of the boy. He was smaller than Bruno, and he was sitting on the ground, okay, with a very sad and pitiful expression. Fine. He wore same striped pajamas that all the other people on that side of the fence were wearing. Okay. So whatever he observed by looking out of the window, Bruno, so he could see that he was wearing the same kind of clothes. And he wasn't wearing any shoes, right? So these are the keywords which you should know if you're asked to describe, to give the description of Shmuel. So he wasn't wearing any shoes or socks, and his feet were rather dirty. So naturally he was not wearing anything in his feet, so his feet were dirty. And on his arm he was wearing an armband and with a star on it. So the armband which the soldiers with the German army was wearing had a swastika symbol on it, and the armband which this boy was wearing had a star on it. Okay, a star imprinted on it. And when the boy looked at him, so when this boy, he raised his eyes and he looked at Bruno, all Bruno could see was a large pair of sad eyes staring back. Okay, enormous means large. So you can see that this is what Bruno observed, okay, when he looked at this boy. Ishan, you can read.
Yes, ma'am. Bruno was sure that he had never seen a skinnier or sadder boy in his life, but decided that he had better talk to him. I have been exploring, he said. Have you found anything? Asked the boy. Well, I found you, said Bruno after a movement. He sat down on the ground on his side of the fence and crossed his legs like the little boy. I am Smooth, said the little boy. What is your name? Bruno, said Bruno. I have never met anyone called Smooth before, said Bruno. How old are you? He asked. Smooth
Okay.
thought.
We can stop over here.
Yes.
Yes. So now they started with the conversation, and Bruno first, after saying hello, he observed the boy, and he was sure that he had never seen a skinnier. That means any boy who was thinner or sadder than this boy who was sitting on the other side of the fence in his life. Okay, and but he still decided that he should continue and talk to him. Okay, so he says, Bruno only says, breaks the silence and says that I have been exploring. He tells him that he is there to explore the surrounding. So the boy, he asks that whether he has found anything or not. So Bruno takes a moment to reply and he says that yes, I have found you. And then they sit on the ground, as you can see in this picture. Both of them, they are sitting on their side, their respective side of the fence, okay, by crossing their legs, right? So on this side you can see Bruno, and on the other side you can see Shmuel. So then this boy, he tells his name. He says, I am Shmuel, my name is Shmuel. And what is your name? He asks Bruno's name. So Bruno tells him his name, that I am Bruno. And he further goes on and he says that he has never met anyone whose name is Shmuel. So he basically tells him that he has heard Shmuel's name for the first time. Okay, so Bruno continues and he asks about his age. Woman, you can read.
Shmuel thought, it's Shmuel. What the
Shmuel.
word? Shmuel thought about it and looked down at his fingers, and they wiggled in the air as if he was trying to calculate. I am 9, he said. My birthday is April the 15th, 1934. Bruno stared at him in surprise, and his eyes opened wide, and his mouth made the shape of an O. I don't believe it, he said. Why not? Asked Shumel. No, said Bruno, shaking his head quickly. I don't mean I don't believe you. I mean I'm surprised, that's all. Because my birthday is April the 15th too, and I was born in 1934. We were born on the same day. Shumel thought about this. So you are 9 too, he asked. Yes, isn't it that strange? Very strange, said Shumel.
Okay, okay. You can mute this. Yes. So now, when Bruno asks Shmuel about his age, so he gives a thought to it. Okay, Shmuel thinks about it and he takes some time. He looks down at his finger like the little children. You know, they whenever you ask them about their age or anything, or you want them to count, so they look at their finger. They move. They give slight movement to their fingers as if they are counting something. So the same thing, figure means to move, slowly in order to show that you are counting. Okay, so Shmuel also thought about it. He looked down at his finger. He wiggled his fingers in the air in order to count. Fine, he was as if he was trying to count what his age was. So finally, he said that he was 9 years old, and he further tells him that his birthday was on April the 15th and his birth year was 1934. So as soon as Bruno heard this, he stared at him, okay, and he was taken aback. He was surprised. He was astonished on the fact that both of them shared the same birth date, and both of them were born on the same day. So this shows Bruno's surprise. This line shows Bruno's surprise, that his eyes opened wide and his mouth made the shape of an O. Okay, so he was so much so surprised that he said, I don't believe it. Okay, so this I don't believe it should not be taken in literal sense. Okay, it's not that he did not believe that he was born in the same at the same time, but he did not believe the fact that he was actually sitting in front of a boy with whom he shared his birth date exactly. Okay, 15th April 1934, the same day both of them were born. So he could not believe this fact that he's meeting somebody who was born the same day as he was. So then Shmuel takes it in literal sense, and he asks, why don't you believe me? So Bruno quickly says that no, I don't mean that I don't believe you in that way, like I have told you. Okay, so he did believe that he was born on so and so date, and that he was of 9 years of age. but he could not believe that the thing which was surprising for him. That means when he met a boy who was born on the same date. So, right. So he tells that why he used this, why has he exclaimed that he does not believe, he couldn't believe it. So he tells him that his birthday is also falls also on April, the 15th April, and he was also born in 1934. So both of them were born on the same day. So this was the fact which surprised him, and this is the thing which he was unable to believe. Okay, in. Then Shmuel also thought about it. So, and he says, after some time, he says, that means you are also 9 years old. So Bruno says, yes, isn't that strange? So this line here, it is not written who has said, but this line has been spoken by Bruno. Okay. So Bruno says that, yes, don't you think it's strange? So Shmuel says, yes, indeed, it's very strange. Okay. Something which is unusual. Strange means unusual. You do not meet everyone. If you take the survey of everybody's birthday in your class, so you will, all of you will be having different birth dates. So it is strange, right? It is something which is unusual, which is not common. Okay, sure, you can read ahead. So we are not audible, child. Okay, let it be. You can fix your device. I'll come back to you again. Yashi, you can read now.
We are like twins, said Bruno. A little bit, agreed Shmuel. Bruno felt very happy all of a sudden. A picture came into his head of his three best friends, and he remembered how much fun they used to have together back in Berlin, and realized how lonely he had been at Auschwitz.
Okay,
They have
we can stop.
yes, ma'am.
So, when Bruno was very much excited when he learns that both Schmelz and his birthdays are the same. So he says that we like twins. Okay. Schmel was a little bit. I think he behaved maturely because he was not very excited on this fact, and he says yes, a little bit. And but Bruno felt very happy all of a sudden. Fine, because a picture of his friends, three best friends, came to his mind. If you remember in the beginning of the chapter, I told you that he was not ready to leave his house, and he was also sad at the prospect of leaving his three best friends. There were three best friends. If you will read the novel, so their names have also been mentioned in the novel. So he was very sad, and he was also, in fact, in tears at the prospect of leaving his best friends in Berlin and moving to Auschwitz. So when he meets Schmel and he finds out that he's exactly of the same age, so this idea brings a lot of happiness. He was so ecstatic to know about it that he could think he is the thought of his friends came across his mind, and he remembered all sorts of fun which they used to have back in Berlin. Okay, in their place where this Bruno belonged to. Okay, and then he realized that how lonely he had been at Auschwitz. So he compared his life at Berlin and Auschwitz at this very moment. Okay, so we'll read till here today. From do you have many friends? We'll read in the next class. So tell me if you have understood till here the story. And who is this? Siddhi Ghosh, would you behave yourself? I'm not going to give you today's attendance. Look at how you are sitting. You are not getting today's attendance. Please leave my class. I'm putting you in the waiting room. Yes. So if there is any question, any doubt anywhere, please ask. Yes, Divyanshi.
Uh, Ma'am, wasn't the fence completely closed and just open from the top, ma'am, where that boy was there?
No, no, it was just barbed wires. If you have seen the border area somewhere,
Yes.
okay, the wire is kept, poles are there, and then barbed wires means thorny wires are there. So the fence was made up of that. Okay, it was not walled.
So, ma'am, wasn't the poison gas left exploded there?
See, I will tell. There was a camp. Okay, you've seen this Kumbh Mela, Magh Mela camps are set up. Yes, it
Yes.
is in an open area. So similarly, concentration camp was the area, was something like that only. There was a camp where people used to live. They were collected, gathered up. See, because all of them couldn't be subjected to execution at once, so they all were collected, and then they were divided into batches. Say 50 people, 100 people will be put into the gas chamber. Thousands of them are living in the concentration camp, and today is Monday, so 100 of them will be put in the gas chamber. Gas chamber was a sealed place. Okay, so it was a sealed place so that the gas doesn't escape from there. And there was an opening at the top. From where the soldier would pour in the poisonous gas, say carbon monoxide or some other gas were also used. So he used to pour it inside the chamber, and then those 100 people would die at that time. Then again next day, next batch would come like that.
Okay, ma'am. Thank you, ma'am.
Arav, you've raised your hand and you've switched off your video. Yes.
Ma'am, can you explain this forlorn expression which the
Or
boy had?
sad when you look at somebody and you feel pity because he was a captive over there and he did not have a very good life. He has also left his home. Okay, he was also having a good life in back in Poland. Happy family was there. But then when he was taken by the German army, he was made to live in the concentration camp, and so basically naturally he was sad.
And second, ma'am, what was the dress at upper side? It's given of stripped pajamas.
Striped
Means on top,
shirts,
what he
striped
was wearing.
shirts.
Okay, thank you, ma'am.
You've seen the dress of a prisoner. Same. And it's striped, not stripped. Stripped will be read as a strip when there is double P. Okay. Single P is used over here. All of you have read it as a strip, but it is a stripe.
Ma'am, was it necessary that the prisoners which were in the concentration camps were killed? Because, ma'am, I have read several books based on World War II, and it was like most of them stayed in the camp for some time, and then when the World War II was over, they were released.
All those when who could escape. But this is the story when the Holocaust began. Okay, 1941, 1939, 1940. These were the peak years when the Holocaust was took place. Okay, and the sole purpose was to kill the Jews because there were several reasons. If you have read, I will tell you. I'll list down the reasons. One was the loss, Germans' loss in the First World War. So they thought that it was basically because of the Jews. Second one was anti-Semitism. Anti-Semitism is the hatred towards Jews, right? Because of the racial discrimination. The Germans thought that they are of superior race and the Jews were of inferior race. So they thought that if they would kill all the Jews, they would be purifying the race. Right? Not only the Jews, but Hitler was also of the opinion that all those who are disabled, all those who are weak, okay, who have any disease, genetic disorder, they should also be killed. Okay, there was one concept of eugenics, I think, yes, eugenics back at in those times, according to which only the superior qualities which are there in the human beings, they were to be present, and all the human beings which had some inferior qualities, they were supposed to be killed if they want to improvise the human race. So all these reasons, the Holocaust was not only a one-time event. So there were many reasons which were huddled up. Okay, and the thing which you are talking about, it was towards the end of the World War. When the World
Yes,
War was
ma'am.
coming to an end, then some of them could escape because they were not able to subject them to death.
Yes, ma'am. Thank you, ma'am.
Yes, Kushi.
Ma'am, can you tell me the meaning of annihilation?
Annihilation means extermination, and extermination means destruction.
Destruction. Okay, ma'am. And ma'am, concentration camp meaning.
Concentration camp, I told you in the beginning also, I have just now also explained to the Divyanshi. It is a place, okay, which involves in which a large number of people they live. They are made to live under harsh conditions. And what would be those harsh conditions? Harsh conditions would include small spaces, inadequate facilities, no proper sanitation, no clean drinking water, and they were subjected to forced labors. And also in this case, they were awaiting their death. So they were basically brought into the concentration camp to wait for their turn to go into the gas chamber and die.
Okay,
That
ma'am.
is a concentration.
Thank you, ma'am.
You're welcome. Yes, Priyanshi.
Meant by his finger wiggled in the air.
Yes. He gave a little movement to his fingers in order to count his age. Yes, Abhineet.
Ma'am, I was just telling the reasons that why Hitler did this thing and why this thing happened.
So you want to tell the reason?
Hitler was an ardent nationalist, and one of he for to do this he killed the logic, and we get this evidence from that Albert Einstein left his citizenship uh, when Hitler was at the post, and he
Yes,
went
when
to
Hitler
England.
was, yes, so he was a dictator, and who is a dictator who does everything which is at his own wish. So he doesn't care whatever he thinks, whatever he believes. He used to impose it on everyone. So that was the okay. So